word. Again, on some special events, I'm not good speaking on special events. I told Pastor multiple times, but somehow I believe that I'm ordained to bring the word today. And again, it's always tough to stand in between us and food. So I will not take much time, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours. Let's turn our attention to the book of Philippians. Philippians chapter 4. It's a very famous episode. Paul is writing to the church in Philippines. Chapter number 4 and verse number 6 and 7. It's a very familiar verse. Every Christian knows by heart. And we sometimes use, sometimes misuse this verse. But today we are going to look at a topic of the altar of thanksgiving, a Christian perspective. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
How an altar of thanksgiving looks like from a Christian perspective. That's what we are going to look at today evening in the next few minutes. So can we read that in both English and Malayalam?
Do not be anxious about anything.
Yes.
But in every situation, by prayer and petition.
Yeah, I just wanted to notice a few words as we read. Do not be anxious for anything. Or don't be anxious for nothing. But in everything, by prayer and supplication. Yeah, just read.
With thanksgiving, present your requests to God.
Yes.
And the peace of God,
Yes.
which transcends all understanding,
Yes.
will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus.
Praise the Lord. But Paul is exhorting the church of Philippians. The altar of thanksgiving or the attitude of thanksgiving is very important in a Christian life. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
And that is not situational, that is not optional, but that has to happen in all the situations we are going through. In all the situations. So there is no exclusion of situations by which we can say that I don't feel like giving thanks, but Paul is telling that don't be anxious about anything. So he excluded everything. And then he's saying that in everything, give thanks. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Don't be anxious about anything, but be thankful in everything. So he's trying to avoid the negative attitude of being anxious. That is not enough. The absence of worry is not enough. But there should be a presence of thanksgiving in a Christian life. Let me repeat that. The absence of worry and being anxious is not enough to lead a Christian life. But what we need an attitude of thanksgiving in all situations we are going through. Then only Christian life will be complete and God will be pleasing in our life. Praise the Lord. Sometimes we hardly keep up with the situations and we will try to not to be anxious, but we will not be in a position to give thanks. Right? We will somehow manage not to be anxious, not to be worrying, not to be grumbling, but several times we find it hard to give thanks in those situations. But Paul is telling there should be a balance between not being anxious and at the same time being thankful to God. Praise the Lord. If you keep on continuing, don't be anxious and don't giving thanks to God, something else will occupy that space which can be dangerous in your life. So Paul is telling, don't be anxious, but at the same time be thankful in all situations. I just wanted to reflect on 2 or 3 points. Before before that, let me tell you a couple of things. What is not thanksgiving? Don't get me wrong. Number one, it is not feeling happiness for a blessing in our life. Several times we misunderstand. It is not just a feeling of emotional happiness for some of the material blessings what we have. When I explain what is thanksgiving, you will understand. Let me leave it that. And also it is not a justification. Let me tell this very clearly, because we are seeing a trend by which people misuse the word thanksgiving and use it for selfish purposes. Let me tell you this, it is not a justification for you to spend money the way you want on events related to thanksgiving without glorifying God. Praise the Lord. I know it's a little tough, but that is the trend we are seeing. By just adding a word of thanksgiving, Christians have gone to an extent of spending money without being justified as the will of God. But what is thanksgiving? It is more than that. Number one. Listen to me very carefully. Number one. It is a testimony of the proof of a living God. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Glory to God.
One of the Christian philosopher told like this: the most difficult part of an atheist is feeling extremely thankful, but he don't know whom to thank. He's feeling extremely gracious, extremely grateful, but he don't know whom to thank. See the situation? Just imagine, every month you are receiving a gift and you don't know where it is coming from. You will be perplexed. After some time you will be very suspicious, right? I don't know from where this is coming from. But the moment you are able to attach that to a person whom you love, your attitude will change. Are you able to understand this? Praise the Lord. The Christian thanksgiving is a testimony of a living God. Praise the Lord. മലയാളത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞാൽ ജീവിക്കുന്ന ദൈവത്തിന്റെ സാക്ഷികളാണ് നമ്മളെന്ന് തെളിയിക്കുന്ന ഒരു മനോഭാവമാണ് താങ്ക്സ്ഗിവിംഗ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Praise the Lord. That's why Paul is telling, in all situations, whatever you are going through, whether it may be in prison, whether it may be in sickness, whether it may be in suffering, you have a living God to thank for the situation. That is the beauty of Christian life. What others don't have. That's why in Psalms 115 it says, can we read that? Psalms 115 verse 3 to 8 quickly. It says like this. The psalmist is comparing the living God with idols. What is he saying? They have eyes but cannot see. They have ears but they cannot hear the thanksgiving prayer of a person, a devoted person. They have mouth but they cannot talk. But our God can hear, can see, can talk, can act, can come down in your situations. The number one, thanksgiving is an attitude by which you are testifying, I have a living God.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Glory to God.
Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Let me move on. I only have 10 more minutes. Thanksgiving, the altar of thanksgiving is a reflection of a continuous relationship with God. The altar of thanksgiving, what is number 2? It's a reflection of your continuous relationship with
Hallelujah. Praise you, praise you.
The same chapter, Philippians chapter 4, verse 4. What Paul is saying here? Can you just read that verse?
Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice.
Did you see that verse? He's not saying rejoice. He's saying rejoice in the Lord.
Hallelujah. Amen. Praise you.
Did you see the connection? Don't only rejoice for some of the things which happen in your life. That's what initially I told. It is not thanksgiving. It is just you are feeling happy about some of the materials blessing you received. But the moment you connect that with the gift giver, the moment you connect that with the living God, you are entering into a relationship.
Hallelujah. Stotram.
That's why Paul is saying, don't just rejoice, but rejoice in Him.
Amen. Hallelujah.
There is a lot of difference.
Praise the Lord.
There is a lot of difference. Sometimes it's a culture of this country that we just thank for everything. Right? We just thank. Whether that person is hearing or not, we don't care. We just do that as a routine lifestyle. That is not Christian thanksgiving.
Amen. Amen. Jesus.
Christian thanksgiving is going to the altar
Hallelujah.
and saying that God, I love you, Lord.
Glory to God. Praise you.
It is re-establishing the relationship with our living God.
Hallelujah.
Thank you,
Praise the Lord.
Jesus. Hallelujah.
That's why Paul is saying, rejoice in the Lord. Not anybody else. Not in your circumstance. Because the circumstance can change, the situation can change. But always rejoice in Him who is constant in all the situations in your life.
Amen. Amen. Stotram.
If your source of happiness is not connected with a constant, your intensity will vary because there are a lot of variables in this world.
Amen.
And some days you will not even find reason to be thankful because you don't feel like.
Hallelujah.
But we have a God.
Hallelujah.
He's same yesterday,
Amen.
today, and tomorrow.
Stotram.
And that's what we are reflecting in the attitude of thanksgiving. Lord,
Jesus.
I love you.
Oh,
I love you, Lord.
Stotram.
And that's why Paul is continuing saying, and when you do that, what will happen? 7th verse, beautiful verse. 7th verse is saying that when you do that, when you continue enjoying the relationship by thanksgiving with the living God, what will happen? The peace. Not peace. No. The peace of God. Praise the Lord. There is a difference. Paul didn't say that the peace will come down. No. The peace of God. Who? The living God.
Hallelujah.
Praise the Lord. The God whom you are enjoying the relationship. The same peace of that living God, which surpasses all human understanding.
Stotram. Amen. Amen. Praise you, praise you.
And that peace will guard your hearts.
Amen.
What is that?
Guard your hearts and your thoughts.
And your thoughts.
Amen. Stotram. Praise
Did you understand this?
Hallelujah. Glory to God.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Amen. Stotram.
Not only that, when you enjoy the relationship with Christ, He also expects thanksgiving and He also rejoices in that. That's why when He healed the 10 lepers, right? Can we read one verse? Luke chapter 17, verse 17. I will just go quickly. Luke chapter 17, verse 17. You are all with me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Luke chapter 17, verse 17. Why give the... Yeah. Luke 17.
So Jesus
Ah,
so Jesus answered and said,
yes.
Were there not 10 cleansed?
Yes.
But where are the 9?
Where are the 9?
Stotram.
Where are the 9? All 10 got healed. But where are the
9.
9? Jesus didn't ask, where are the others? He just counted. He counted heard all the 10 lepers who got healed, and he was expecting that all the 10 will come and give him thanks. And he's telling, he was surprised, he was sad. He's asking, where are the 9? And I read a writer writing like this. It is his imagination. He's saying that one of the leper waited to see whether the cure was real. He just thought, okay, let me go and give thanks after 2 months. Right? What if it comes again? One other guy thought that whether it will last at least for a day. The third person thought that I will see him later. I have time. These are all imaginations, okay? The fourth person thought that I think I never had leprosy. I think I never had leprosy. It was kind, maybe I would have thought. The other person thought like this. Anyway, it would have gotten okay or healed by normal means, even though if Jesus would not have healed. Other gave glory to the priest. And one other person thought, other than Jesus, any rabbi would have done it. And one guy thought, I already was on improvement scale. Jesus didn't do much. But only one person went back. Because he was after the relationship. Praise God. Hallelujah. All the 9 were thinking about the material blessing they just received and tried to avoid the relationship. Only one person went back and entered into a relationship. Let me move on. Number 1, it is a testimony, the proof of the living God. Number 2, it's a reflection of the continuous relationship with Him. Number 3, it's a reflection of a content life. Praise God. It's a reflection of content life. സംതൃപ്തിയുടെ ജീവിതത്തിന്റെ ഒരു പ്രതിഫലനമാണ് താങ്ക്സ് ഗിവിംഗ്. ഇവിടെ പൗലോസ് പറയാൻ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാം. അതിന്റെ 12ാമത്തെ വാക്യം ഒന്ന് വായിക്കാമോ? ചാപ്റ്റർ 4 verse 12.
I know how to be abased.
Yes.
And I know how to be abound.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Yes.
And in all things.
Yes.
I have learned both to be full and to be hungry.
Yes.
Both to abound and to suffer need.
Yes. Next verse also.
I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Nevertheless, you have...
That's enough. Thank you. What Paul is trying to say here? I can do all things through the Christ who strengthens me is our favorite verse, right? We always quote that for so many things. But has nothing to do with any of those things. Paul is saying, in all the situations, I lead a content life. For that, sometimes it is tough. But I enjoy a relationship with Christ who strengthens me to be thankful, to be content in all those situations. Did you see the connection there? He's saying, I can do all things. What are the all things? To be content in all the situations through Christ who strengthens me. Praise the Lord. I always remember what Simjan says. We are not the proponents of prosperity gospel. We are not proponents of the poverty gospel. We are the proponents of gospel of contentment. നമ്മൾ സമൃദ്ധിയുടെ സുവിശേഷകരുമല്ല, ദരിദ്രത്തിന്റെ സുവിശേഷകരുമല്ല, നമ്മൾ സംതൃപ്തിയുടെ സുവിശേഷകരാണ്. In all situations, I'm living a content life. Lord, because you are able. For what? For what? Helping us to lead a content life. Matthew chapter 6 verse 31 and 32, you don't have to read. Jesus told, do not worry. What shall we eat? What shall we drink? What shall we wear? For the pagans. Who is thinking about that? Not the believers who are a little bit have weakness. No. Silly. Not the weak Christians. Pagans. Thinks about that. When I heard that, Lord, not weak Christians. Pagans. You know the reason? Because when you start worrying, you are telling the world, I don't have a trust for the Father. Just imagine if Simjan is asking the neighbor, the house and asking for food every day. What is he saying? I have one guy in my home, good for nothing. He was supposed to take care of me, but I don't have any trust in my Father. It's so shameful to lead a grumbling life. Praise the Lord. It is so shameful for a Christian to lead a life without thanksgiving. Because we are declaring to the world that we don't have a living God. Praise the Lord. We are bringing shame and dishonor to the glory of God by continuously worrying for the things which are not in our control. But what God is saying, do not worry, because the situation may not change. But one thing is sure, you have a heavenly Father.
Hallelujah. Stotram. Praise.
Number 4. This is very important. It's a spiritual discipline by which you can traverse to your helpless past. I will explain that. Several times as Christians, we will get stuck in the previous successes. But in order to have a thankful heart, you have to keep on rewinding your life till you reach a point of helplessness
Amen. Stotram.
where your heart will be filled with the thanksgiving. Lord,
Jesus.
I remember the day. Not the day I got a house. Not the day I got a car. The day I was saved, praise the Lord. When there was nobody to help me. When I was an enemy. When I was an alien, Lord. The helpless past of a Christian only can be remembered in the attitude of thanksgiving in the altar of God.
Hallelujah. Stotram.
Otherwise, we all will stuck with some of the blessings we got last week. What is the big deal about this? No. Go to the helpless past.
Amen. Stotram.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah.
Jesus.
I just want to read one verse and then move forward. Isaiah chapter 51 verse 1 and 2 look like this. Because of the time constraint, I don't want to read. Look to the rock from which you were healed, and to the hole of the pit from where you were dug out. Did you see that? മലയാളത്തിൽ എനിക്ക് കുറച്ചുകൂടി ഇഷ്ടമുള്ള ഒരു വാക്യമാണ്. നിന്നെ കുഴിച്ചെടുത്ത പാറയിലേക്കും വെട്ടിയെടുത്ത ഖനിഗർഭത്തിലേക്കും നീ നീളം ഒന്ന് തിരിഞ്ഞു നോക്കണം. Praise the Lord. Now you are an establishment. But that day, you were standing in front of the Red Sea, not knowing what to do. And that is the helpless past, where you have to rewind and reach that point so that your thanksgiving will be complete and ultimate in the presence of God, whom you are enjoying the relationship.
Stotram. Amen. Stotram.
Joshua chapter 4 verse 23. It's a very from 20 onwards, can we read 20 onwards? യോശുവയുടെ പുസ്തകം 4-ാം അധ്യായം 20-ാമത്തെ വാക്യം മുതൽ.
And those 12 stones
Yes.
which they took out of the Jordan,
Yes.
Joshua set up in Gilgal.
12 stones taken from where? From?
Jordan.
He established that in Gilgal. For what?
Then he spoke to the children of Israel,
Then he spoke to the children of Israel,
saying,
saying,
when your children ask their fathers in times to come,
so that means in the time to come, you have to come back to these milestones. Did you understand that? You have to tell your generation, you are going to enjoy a lot of successes in your life. You are going to capture the promised land in the future. But repeatedly, you have to come back to these tall stones where it will speak volumes in your life. Praise the Lord. എരിഹോ മതിലിന്റെ വീഴ്ചയിൽ ഉല്ലസിക്കുമ്പോഴും യോർദാനിൽ നാട്ടിയ 12 കല്ല് നമ്മൾ മറന്നു പോകുവാൻ ഇടയായി തീരരുത്. We have to repeatedly visit these 12 stones where God established these stones from Jordan to remind us about His faithfulness. Praise the Lord. That can be only achieved through the altar of thanksgiving, where you can rewind your memory and reach a point where you are completely helpless. Next verse, sister.
then you shall let your children know.
Let your children know who?
Let your children know.
Let your children know about these 12 stones. Yeah.
Saying, Israel crossed over this Jordan on dry land.
Israel crossed Jordan over the dry land because they don't know. They will come and think that, what is the big deal about these 12 stones? Just mere stones. But as you have experienced this, what do you have to tell? The stones are not just casual stones. The stones are taken from Jordan. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah. സ്തോത്രം.
From Jordan, hallelujah. യോർദാനിൽ നിന്നും എടുത്തതായ 12 കല്ല്. എന്നിട്ട് എന്ത് പറയണം? What do you need to tell?
That we crossed over this Jordan
Yes.
on dry land.
Yes.
For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan before you until you had crossed over.
Yes.
As the Lord your God did to the Red Sea,
Yes.
which He dried up.
That's enough. Why God brought the Red Sea here? Did you notice that? Jordan is more than enough for you to give thanksgiving. No. No, that's not enough. You have to go back to Red Sea.
Hallelujah.
This stone is not connected to the present situation where you are in, which God had delivered you from Jordan. This stone is connected to your helpless past.
Amen. സ്തോത്രം. Praise you.
Praise the Lord.
Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Glory to God.
This stone is not only speaking the miracle God did for you in Jordan, but the stone is connected back to the Red Sea, where you cried. When you looked, you were not able to see any way. When you looked back, Egyptians were following you. You were in a fix, you don't know what to do. That is the time God opened the Red Sea for you. And that is your helpless past.
Praise the Lord.
That is your helpless past. When you remember, how can you not give thanks to God?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Praise you, Jesus. സ്തോത്രം. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
And you know one thing? These stones have to be taken from the place where the priest touched the. You know what that's saying? In this whole process of thanksgiving, remember the priests in your life.
Jesus.
Praise the Lord. Remember the priests in your life.
Jesus.
Children, remember your parents. Children, remember your grandparents. Remember your pastors. Remember your mentors. All you have stood for you till you cross the Jordan. Sleepless nights who have prayed for you, interceded for you. You have to remember those priests in the process of thanksgiving. Don't ever forget them. The stones are taken from the place where the feet of the priests
Stotram. Praise you. Jesus.
ചുമ്മാ യോർദാനിൽ നിന്ന് എടുത്ത കല്ലുകളല്ല, പുരോഹിതന്മാരുടെ കാല് വെച്ച സ്ഥലത്ത് നിന്ന് എടുത്തതാണ്. നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതത്തിലെ പുരോഹിതന്മാരെ നമ്മൾ മറന്നു പോകരുത്. Praise the Lord. Let us not forget the priest who has played a significant and vital role in our Christian life. I can very well say that. I'm here because of my mother's prayer. I could see in my young days, day after day, day after day, she has invested a lot for me. She is no more in this world, but I can remember she was priest in my life. I can remember my grandmother who stood a stand for Christ and left everything and came out of her house with 4 children as a widow to stand for Christ. She was a priest in my life. The helpless past should be reminded about in the process of thanksgiving. The last point. Sorry, I took 5 more minutes. The last point is, it is a source of strength for your future.
Stotram. Praise you. Praise you. Hallelujah.
It's a testimony of a living God. It's a reflection of the continuous relationship with God. It's a reflection of the content life. And it's a spiritual discipline by which you have been taken to your helpless past. And finally, it is the source of strength for your future.
Hallelujah.
Joshua chapter 4 verse 13 says like this. You don't have to take. About 40,000 prepared for war, who crossed over Jordan. What is that? Who crossed over Jordan. They were prepared for war, for the Jericho battle. Did you see that? Who? The people who crossed over Jordan.
Stotram. Wow.
For what? When they come to the 12 stones, they not only can give thanks for the things what God did in the past, not only they can thank God for the faithfulness in the Jordan, they can trust God for Jericho.
Hallelujah.
Praise the Lord.
Praise you. Praise
They can trust God for Jericho. That is the beauty of these 12 stones. Whenever they face situations in their life, when they feel that they are weak, they are helpless, they don't have to do anything. All they have to come near these 12 stones and pray, Lord, these stones remind us about a living God who still lives,
Jesus.
who dried up Red Sea for us, who divided Jordan for us,
Glory to
and He is able
Amen.
to conquer Jericho for us.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah.
That is the altar of thanksgiving.
Thank you, Jesus.
As we celebrate the season,
Hallelujah. Stotram.
as children of God,
Wow. Thank you.
let us reflect the continuous relationship with Him,
Amen. Amen.
with a testimony to the world that my God is living,
Hallelujah.
reflecting a content life.
Stotram. Stotram. Glory.
Always remind us about the helpless past, to acquire and to trust God for our future battles.
Glory to
That is the power of the altar of thanksgiving. May God bless you.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Stotram. Stotram. Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Glory to God.